Made in 1979. This is a Silverburst L6S Gibson. Not quite sure if it was made in Kalamazoo or Nashville, but I'm going to bet on Kalamazoo. These feature the Bill Lawrence epoxy pickups. Each pickup is cast in epoxy. So there's no fixing these pickups. When they go bad, you're going to replace them. Open book headstock. But this is the problem. The neck. It's starting to come loose from the body, and the fretboard has some severe problems. The crack runs through the fretboard, and the mortise and tenon joint, glue joint, has failed. So I'm going to go ahead and start separating this neck from the body. I'll use a hair dryer just to warm up the joint. It's going to make it a little bit easier to wiggle it out of there. I got the neck held tight in my Total Vise number 7. It has polyurethane jaws on it so it doesn't damage the neck. I can really reef down on it. And just like that, pop goes the weasel. Here you can see how much wood we've got from the fretboard still stuck to the body. And we can see here, well, we'll see it in a minute when I go back to the mortise. On the tenon, it reads April 4th, 1979. The serial number makes it a 1980 model. But here you can see where Betty has clearly signed her name. Down below all that icky glue. It's the one and only Betty from Gibson. You guys know her, she's a legend. I sent a photo of that to my customer and he said, well, I think I know my guitar's new name. So this guitar, he's going to refer to it from now on as Old Betty. You remember Old Betty when her neck came off and we put it back together? It's kind of like the Bride of Frankenstein now. Anyways, what you were looking at there is a silicone heating pad that's plugged into this router speed control. That way I can dial back the voltage to 75 volts. If I let it run at the full 110 volts, it gets like way over 300 degrees, way too quick. And that could bubble the lacquer right off the body here. And believe it or not, at the end of all this, I get this lacquer looking really nice. I mean, this guitar looks like mint condition when we're done. Just stick around and you'll see. A little fast motion here because I know it's kind of boring to see someone use a spatula to pry apart the little wood joints, but it came off clean, and I will glue this back onto the fretboard with fish glue. Getting this old PVA off of here is really annoying. It took hours to clean it all off. Somehow I think that this was repaired before because there was already glue in the fretboard wood crack. Either it's come off or someone tried to inject glue and clamp it without pulling it off all the way. Well, we're going to do it right this time. Pull the neck completely out of the pocket, clean up both sides 100%, and get it all clamped back together with a good fish glue. And there's a lot of controversy out there whether fish glue is the right glue to use. Certain companies have had problems with humidity in their fish glue and delaminating braces inside of acoustic guitars. But this is completely different than an acoustic guitar repair. This is a solid body electric guitar with a mortise and tenon joint, and I believe it be the best option for this particular application because it's already been glued up with a PVA type of glue, which is polyvinyl acetate. It's a very hard woodworker's glue. It has a rubbery, vinyl-y kind of texture to it, and it really gets down into the pores of the wood, and it's very difficult to clean out. So I believe fish glue is the best for glue for a contaminated joint like that, rather than using hot hide glue, which is what I normally use on our neck reset videos. The downside of fish glue is that it really calls for a 24-hour clamping time. So just be patient and use the fish glue. Well, these Bill Lawrence pickups, they're really something. I've heard them a few times. They've got a pretty nice high output. I like that kind of pickup myself. Al Di Meola is one of the artists that endorsed this guitar. Carlos Santana, John McLaughlin, Keith Richards, Tom Johnston of the Doobie Brothers, Paul Stanley of Kiss. Although I think Paul Stanley he played like the Midnight Special, which was the bolt-on version of this guitar. Malcolm Young played in Gibson L6S. He actually took it to a luthier in London and had the guy turn it into a double cut. They lopped off the upper bass side of the guitar and removed the neck pickup to make it more Malcolm-y. Because Malcolm, he loved that Gretsch with the double cut Gretsch with the one pickup. There were 12,000 L6S customs made by Gibson. This is the Silver Burst. And it was a real bear cleaning this off. As you can see, I'm just chatting away while I do everything I can to get this crap out of here. Another reason to never use PVA on a guitar is you just make it miserable for a repair guy. But misery is my game. The L6S Custom has a 6-way rotary selector switch, which, well, why would it have 6 positions for the switch when there's only 2 pickups? Because they run them in parallel, out of phase, series. You get the neck by itself, the bridge by itself, 2 together. But then you also get the 2 together out of phase and in series and parallel. I have a diagram, or what you call maybe like well, I guess it's not a schematic, but it is a diagram of the L6S rotary switch, and it's the way that it's designed into that circuit of this guitar. And I'm going to put up a little still photo of it so you can see how complex it looks. Look at that. That's a lot of wires. Hopefully I'll never have to replace one of those. That's the kind of thing I wake up in the middle of the night screaming over. The rotary switch. Well, here it is, the moment of truth. Fish glue on the rosewood. I'm not even taking those frets out. We're just gonna work around those frets. They're not really in the way anyhow. Well, it's springtime in Nashville and all the birds are chirping. You've already mowed our lawn 2 or 3 times now. We'll wipe off some of this glue squeeze out and clamp it down. 24 hours. I just got a nice care package from my buddy Chip Tate up there in Baltimore. He sent me some goodies. So, I've got a lot of guys to refer you all to if you're looking for guitar techs around the country. I've got plenty of guys. We've got Chip over there in Baltimore. His company's called Brooklyn Fretworks. And if you're up in Connecticut, we've got Steve Balkin Guitars. I think that's in Hartford. If you're in Northern Virginia or the DC area, got a couple guys there. We got Els, Guitar Workshop. It's L Pactor. If you need any maintenance, repair, or restoration work, look those guys up. A lot of guys calling me from Florida too. I thought I had met a guy that's starting up a shop down there in Florida. His name was Dana. I'll let you know if he actually hangs out a sign and gets a name for his business. But we've been waiting for a while for someone to come along and join the Luth group that's a good tech from Florida, the Sunshine State. If you're in Northern California, I know Carl Chalmers Guitars, Citrus Heights, California. It's kind of a suburb of Sacramento. Notice how I kind of shoved that neck pickup out of the way while I do this work. There's a little touch-up work I want to do before I glue the two parts together. I want to make sure that black is nice and that we get a nice crisp line there where the neck meets the body, where the fretboard sits over top of it. And we want to make sure we get the wood roughed up with a 220 grit. Maybe 120 to 220 grit, wood to wood surfaces. I'm probably not going to get it all out of the mortise area. We're just going to leave that the way it is. We'll rough it up some. I 3D printed this sanding stick. If you join up to the Luth group, Patreon memberships are only $11 a month, and you'll have full access to all of our Luth prints, they're called. You can download them for free, print them out on your printer at home. And I'm going to be showing you a whole bunch of new tools that I've been printing out lately. One of them is that little sanding stick. It's going to be real handy for getting in there into that mortise area. Also right here under the fretboard extension. I put 120 grit sandpaper on it. Now this is after the glue up. So there may be a little lumpy areas there. We want to just make sure everything's good and smooth. Cleaning off the sandpaper occasionally. While I'm at it, I'll use my vacuum to clean up the String Tech workstation. And since I'm plugging names and dropping names, whatever, today, may as well give a shout to Mike McConville up in Stratford, Ontario. He's the creator of the String Tech workstation, which is, hey, it's kind of expensive, right? You guys might be thinking, why would you spend money on something like that? That padded leather bench for the guitar to sit on, there's no way your expensive guitars are going to get all scratched up and damaged sitting on that beauty. And if you're worried about the cost of a workbench like that, one little mistake, dragging a guitar across the bench with metal particles on it and stuff, one scratch will cost you more than two of those workstations in time if you have to repair a really bad scratch on the back of a $5,000 to $10,000 piece. You'll be wishing you had one of those. I'm sure glad I got mine before the tariffs. I'd still buy one, but Mike, he's not even shipping them to the U.S. right now because of those damn tariffs. It's too much hassle. Anyways, there's a big crack here on the edge of the fretboard extension, so I just thought we'd fill it in with brown and black CA glue, the glue boost kind. I'm using a piece of wax paper to apply it. We'll accelerate over here by the exhaust fan, because breathing in accelerator is not good for your health. I will drop in a little bit of Brazilian rosewood sawdust with a toothpick to cover up the defect on the front edge of the fretboard. This should blend everything together nicely. Next, I'll use water-thin CA glue applied with a wax paper. Accelerate. Here I'll do a little strip sanding on the edge. 400 grit. Fill and finish ultra thin with a lip brush. A little bit of water to accelerate, and 600 grit Super Oslex sandpaper. .4/0 steel wool. Next, I'll check the geometry of the neck to body angle. My straight edge rides about 1/8 of an inch above the bridge saddles, which is about 3 millimeters. 2 to 3 millimeters were good. I'll also look at the string alignment, make sure the neck isn't swiveled off to the one way or the other. I'll get that pickup out of the way again, because I'm going to need to wipe up some of the glue squeeze out. I'll use a piece of masking tape that I tacked off on my t-shirt to prevent the pickup from dangling with all of its weight pushing on the wires. It's just 2 really tiny wires that they don't have much slack in them. So I don't want to put any tension on those. And we use a sanding stick here on this area to make sure we're down to the raw wood. Maple's a nice wood. I'll take a paper towel saturated with acetone to clean off the rosewood. That being a very oily wood indeed. Now we'll put a liberal amount of fish glue on all surfaces. This is a lot of surface area, so I'm not worried about this neck falling off. Even if it gets into the humidity, it's not going to fall off. If it does fall off, that would be a sight to behold. The fish. I'll use a wet Q-tip to wipe up the squeeze out. We'll clean up a little later tomorrow after we unclamp it. Might be a little bit of extra squeezing out over the next few hours. We'll get the lion's share of it now. Set it aside over here in the corner with the other Les Pauls. One of those Les Pauls is just getting some lacquer drop fills, some sanding and polishing so that the fella can resell it. The other one is getting some carbon fiber rods in the headstock. And there's a K sitting down there, an old K archtop. We'll be sending a video of that next week. Or 2. Probably have a video on that K 2 to 4 weeks. Neck reset on an old K from the 50s. Again, the Q-tip is wet. I'll get off a little more of that fish glue residue from yesterday. And then we'll paint in a little black or a little clear. I'm going to do clear right here at the very end. And this is just clear polyurethane. Kind of a gap filler. It just makes the glue joint look nice. And we'll reinstall our beautiful little pickup, the Bill Lawrence. The Tony Iommi pickup was just like these, if you recall that video. Tony Iommi signature Gibson humbucking pickup looks just like this. I wonder if we can get this lacquer all shiny again. This was my customer's grandmother's guitar. He inherited it, and so it's going to mean a lot to him when he sees it all shined up nice. We'll get the buffer going. To drill those out a little bit. Little oil. See how it's going to look. Howard feed and wax. Now we'll get polishing. McGuire's 105 Ultimate Compound. Ultra Cut Compound. It's going to take a little bit of elbow grease. Ultra Cut Compound on a Viva paper towel. We'll find something that works. Got a whole drawer full of stuff. Oh gosh, look at that tobacco color. Dear Lord. She's got tobacco on her. This could take a while. We'll use simple green, diluted simple green, soapy water. Something's got to cut through this gook. A bunch of schmutz. I have to do a load of laundry after this guitar gets clean. Yep, lacquer is so it's resilient to water, so sometimes that's what it takes. Water-based soapy cleaner. Then we go back to the abrasive compound. Sans tobacco. Figure eights. Viva Las Vegas. Now we'll wax it. This is McGuire's Cleaner Wax. Never fails on old lacquer. This thing's so cool. Thanks for hanging around. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.